So, it's that time of the year again where everybody's predicting the Premier League, and I'm gonna do just that. Who I think that is gonna get relegated in the last place? Yeah, I think that's gonna be Burnley. So, yeah, they made a few decent transfers, but I think they're not gonna do anything with them. I think they're going to be the weakest team this season, but better than Southampton were last season. So probably around 20 points, but in last place. 19th, I think it's going to be Leeds United. I think it's going to be a close battle for the last position between Leeds and Burnley, but I think Leeds are going to get a few surprise results at home this season, probably a draw against Liverpool or Manchester City, and those results will make the difference, but still relegated, in my opinion. Okay, so the controversial part is gonna start here. I do think in 18th position, and probably I am 99.99% sure I'm gonna make a fool out of myself for saying this, but I think it's gonna be Wolves. Cunha out, Nouri out, Guedes out, Semedo, Dawson, Sarabia left on a free, and yeah, they got some new players in, but I don't think it will be enough to save them from relegation. Yeah, I said it. Wolves are going down. They do have a decent squad, but I think they're gonna be much worse because they lost some players, some squad players, and their best player. So probably an injury or two and their season is over. That's what I believe. Good, so who's the team that's gonna avoid relegation just? I think that's Sunderland. So for the first time in 2 or 3 years, 3 teams that got promoted are not gonna go down. Just 2 of them. And I do think Sunderland have the best squad of the promoted teams right now. After the transfer windows they made, of course, like Xhaka, Adingra, Guyu, or Ezolefe, and I think it is gonna be a close battle between them and Wolves, but these players have enough quality to save them. It's gonna be a hard battle probably until the last 2 games of the season, until we will have a confirmation, but Sunderland should stay up with the transfers that they made. 16th, and probably another surprise, and I have them very low, West Ham United. 6 players left on a free. Kudus left for Spurs and they bought Callum Wilson. If not for the players still at the club, like Bowen or Paqueta, so if not for them, I would have said that they're gonna be relegated. And I do think that they will flirt with relegation, but in the end, they will remain in the Prem for sure. 15th, another team that I have them low compared to last season, it's Fulham. They lost some squad players and they brought no one in. So how can you improve if you lose some players but you get no one? Okay, 14th and much higher than I've seen a lot of people place them. It's Brentford. So why is everyone saying that they will go down? I mean, yeah, they lost Mbuemo, but for 75 million euros. They lost Norgard for 12 and Flecken and their best manager ever. Yeah, I know, but they still have the same defenders from last season, and their defense was good enough, and they're gonna be good enough this year as well. They also upgraded in goal with Kelleher. It's gonna get harder for the teams to score against Brentford, and they still have Damsgaard, Schade, Wisa, so they still have money to spend, and the transfer window is not over. And I know Henderson is not the best replacement for Norgard, but he can still do a job for Brentford. Henderson can still do a job for a lower or a mid-table Premier League team. So he's still a good leader. And yeah, there is one thing to say, and I agree with that. Their coach is not good enough. And they will find it hard to score and win games. And I'm 80% sure that they're gonna have a bad run of form and Kit Andrews is gonna get sacked by Christmas. And the new coach that they will bring in is gonna stabilize the ship and keep them up. 13th, I'm gonna go with Crystal Palace. So just 2 transfers in at the time of recording, and they will have to play in Europe. And Guehi might go to Liverpool. It really depends what happens there, but it's always a safe bet to place Palace between 10 and 15 with 40 something points. 12. I have a team that played well last season, but they did not improve. In fact, they even got worse. Bournemouth. Kerke sold, Huijsen sold, and it looks that they are gonna lose two more important players. It really depends what happens until the end of the window. But Andoni Raula is a good coach. And yeah, they got a new left back in Adrian Truffert and a new goalkeeper in Petrovic, but it's not really much of an improvement. Also, they have no replacement for Huijsen at the moment. So I think they're gonna fall a little bit compared with last season. 11. It's a team that I think have improved. Even though it was the great purge at Everton with 8 players leaving on a free, they made the loan of Carlos Alcaraz permanent. They bought Tierno Barry from Villarreal, a backup goalkeeper that they needed, and the new left back in Adam Asnou. Also Kieran Dewsbury Hall from Chelsea. And there's a possibility they also get Jack Grealish. Jack Grealish will get the freedom that he desperately needs at Everton. And I do think that David Moyes will work wonders with this team. They might even get Europe. Who knows? 10. Who do I have in a 10th position? I go with Brighton. Ferguson, Adingra, Estupian, and Pedro left. And the replacements might not be the best, but this is Brighton. They will buy players from lower leagues and turn them into Premier League quality. The Kuiper, Coppola, Costulas, and Tom Watson are some of the transfers that they made, and they will definitely improve and turn a profit on them in a year or two. So someone like the Kuiper, for example, I think Chelsea are gonna spend 60 to 70 million to get them from Brighton in a year or two when Cucurella is leaving. But they will fall from 8 last season to 10. Who do I have in the 9th position? It's Forest. I think Nottingham Forest are gonna finish 9th. The only significant sale at the time of recording is Elanga, and they bought Igor Jesus, Jair Cunha from Botafogo, and Dan Ndoye from Bologna, so the replacement for Elanga. Yeah, the squad is good enough. If they manage to get Europe last season, they could get top 10 for sure. 8. I'm going with Manchester United. At the end of last season, I was sure that United will be relegated if they sold Bruno, but he refused to go to Saudi, and massive respect for that. They bought Cunha and convinced Mbeumo and Šeško to not join Champions League football at Newcastle. United still have a strong pull even though they finished 15th. And because of that, people say that United is back and they will finish Champions League football. They will win the Premier League. No, they won't. They are not that back. They will definitely be better than last season, but they still have the same defense, the same goalkeeper, and they will lose games because of that. So yeah, maybe they will get Europe, but definitely not Champions League football. If Manchester United finish in top 4 and get Champions League football, I will jump in the river that's near my home fully clothed, and I will film it and put it on YouTube, but they are not gonna finish top 4. 7th. So in 7th, I have Aston Villa. They barely brought a player in, but there is still time in the transfer window. And it looks like Emiliano Martinez is gonna stay. Also, Unai Emery is still the coach, so he will do something with the squad. Maybe, not finish in top 5, top 4, but I do think they're gonna finish 7th with a great run in Europa League. And why not maybe win it? 6th, Newcastle. They lost out on almost every transfer they tried to make. At the time of recording, they only signed Elanga and Ramsdale and are in talks with Malik Thiaw from AC Milan. I don't know if I pronounced the name correctly, but that's it for them. Yeah, there is a huge saga about Isaac, and if he leaves, it looks like they might replace him with Wissa or Watkins. But if Isaac leaves, no replacement will be good enough to be at the same level. And they still have Champions League football, so it's gonna be a distraction for them. They will not finish in a Champions League spot. So 5th, Spurs for me. A new coach, a better coach in my opinion with Thomas Frank. I know Ange won them the Europa League, but they finished 17th. Multiple injuries were also a significant reason, but they prioritized Europa League. They won it and they are back in the Champions League. And the only starter from Spurs that left is Son. A few squad players also left, but no one important. Joe Palhinha and Kudus are in. Danso was made permanent, same as Tel. And if they're not gonna be injury plagued again, I do think that Frank will get them to finish 5th. So 4th. Arsenal. Yeah, I have Arsenal in fourth. They replaced the guys that left with maybe better players in Zubimendi, Norgard. They also got Kepa as a backup, Madueke and Mosquera as well. Good backups, but not players that will help them win the league. But they finally have a striker. Victor Gyökeres. For the last 2-3 years, everyone said that they need a striker. A new striker, a good striker will win them the league. And now they have that striker. Maybe. And I don't think he's gonna win them the league. I don't think that. Yes, Arsenal improved. Yes, they have a better squad now. But the three teams above have improved much better than Arsenal. So third, and I'm gonna go with Chelsea. Chelsea finished fourth last season, won the Club World Cup, beating PSG 3-0 in the final. And I do think Chelsea is scary at the moment. I'm not gonna list the transfers that they made in or out because it's gonna take like 3 days and there are still a lot more people to come and go. But the core players are still there and I think Chelsea is gonna fight on multiple fronts and be successful. I do think they're gonna win a trophy like Carabao or FA Cup. Depends what they're gonna prioritize, but I do think they're gonna have a good season. So who do I have winning the Premier League? It's between Manchester City and Liverpool. Any of these two. Let's start with Manchester City first. Pep is still there and he's rebuilding the squad. Haaland and Marmoush are gonna be little up front. Ray Dears is gonna be a good player for them. Cherki as well. And they finally have an actual left back. Not a center back that is gonna play on the left. But someone is missing. Who is that? Kevin De Bruyne. Probably the main reason City won so much. And I do think that's the reason why they are not gonna win the Premier League. So I have them finishing second. Yes, they bought replacements for him, but they are not as good. And I have Liverpool winning the league, but I do have some things to say about them that might be a problem. And they might not win the league because of that. So they improved from last season. They won the league, and they still improved. Probably the best transfer window in the club's history and the team that improved the most, in my opinion. Trent left, that is a gap that is not gonna get filled. But Frimpong is still one of the best right backs in the world, probably top 5. Kelleher left, that's a loss, but Mamardashvili is in. Diaz left, and they did not replace him yet. But they got Florian Wirtz, probably the best German player and the best in Bundesliga in the last 2-3 years. They also have a new energetic left back in Milos Kerkez and a new striker in Hugo Ekitike that replaced Darwin Núñez. And they are still in a hunt for Isak. But that's my opinion. I do think they should shift their focus to center back. Get a center back first because Kwanzaa left, Gomez is injured all the time, and Konate also has problems with injuries. So the only reliable center back that they have that could play every game in the Premier League is Virgil van Dijk. Yeah, I know he's the best defender in the world, but he's alone. He needs to have a partner there. And Konate will be that player, but for how long? When he's injured and Gomez is injured, who's gonna be there? Who's gonna be his partner? They do need a new center back and they might get Guehi. And they should get Guehi because they need a new center back. So that's one of the reasons that I think Liverpool might not win the Premier League. And they might even finish outside of the top 4. But at the moment, I do think they have the best squad. If they get Guehi and Isak as well, they will definitely win the league. And yeah, one more thing about Liverpool. They no longer have Jota. So rest in peace, Diogo.